Hey guys, it's Kayla here with Journey Dog Training, and I'm talking to you guys here today from La Paz, Mexico, which is on the southern tip of Baja California. And we are here to talk about something that is really timely for me right now, which is talking about preventing aggression in your own dog. So if you guys can't hear that right now, that is the sound over there of one of about 15 different dogs within a 1 block radius of us right now that is pretty seriously dog aggressive. I don't know if those dogs actually, I guess, are truly dog aggressive. But whenever I walk Barley right now, where we're currently at, we are constantly accosted with barking and lunging dogs. Many of these dogs look and sound pretty serious, and whether or not that's just leash reactivity, I don't know. But probably neither does Barley, and what I'm worried about right now is that every single time he goes outside, he's getting a ton of negative interactions with other dogs, and as a trainer's pet, that's kind of a big problem for me because I want him to continue being friendly or at least neutral with other dogs, not only just, to sell my business, but also so that he can be a good ambassador and he can also help me as a training partner. So what we are going to do a little bit of today is demonstrating exactly how I'm working on mitigating this situation right now to help prevent Barley from potentially becoming more uncertain about other dogs. Really just trying to keep him from becoming aggressive, potentially. So what are some of our strategies for that? The big thing here is making sure that you keep your walks as pleasant as possible for you and your dog. That means that if you guys are worried about your dog becoming aggressive towards the other dogs out and about, which is probably because the other dogs are already barking and lunging, which is just hard for your dog, the first thing is good equipment. So Barley here is on a nice, comfy, rough wear back clip harness because I don't want him to pull towards or away from other dogs and have a pinch or choke collar that's essentially giving him a correction, because that's only going to elevate his stress and teach him that other dogs are even more stressful than he already thinks they are, and these dogs are doing a pretty good job of telling him that they're stressful. The other thing is carrying treats so that I can reward Barley for good behaviors and I can counter condition him effectively, where basically he learns that other dogs make treats happen regardless of his behavior. And third, in some situations, this has not worked for me so far in Mexico, might be able to toss treats at those dogs and have them stop. I think the dogs here in Mexico are so unused to treats that is not working. It actually seems like as soon as I look like I'm about to throw something, these dogs hightail it out of here, probably because locals are a little bit more likely to throw rocks at dogs than throw treats at dogs. That works for my purposes, although I don't really like scaring off these local dogs. So finally, what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate a little bit of some of that counter conditioning and play the look at that game. So what is that look at that game? The look at that game is where you teach your dog that if you notice something over there, regardless of what you do, you're going to get a treat. So that's kind of step one, and that's the counter conditioning part. And that is basically just linking what could be a scary or upsetting thing with a treat. And then step two of the look at that game, and this is where this game gets really, really powerful, is when you basically teach the dog, if you notice that other thing, if you look at that other thing, and then you look back up at me, then you're going to get a treat. And then the dog is more in control. And we know from all sorts of science that I can't remember the name of right now, name of specific studies, we know that when we put animals in what we call operant control of something, that can actually help reduce fear more effectively than if we're just shoving treats in their faces. And I know that there is a study on rats that does talk about this. I just can't remember the title of it right now. So that's where this game gets really powerful, is when we teach the dog not only do those upsetting things make treats happen, but you can make treats happen by noticing them and then checking back in with me. I always prefer something like a glance up over something more obedience-centric, like a sit or a hand touch, because it's just easier. And there are times where you're trying to move and you don't want your dog to sit, your hands are full, you don't want a hand target. A little glance up at you is much easier. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move over a little bit closer to these dogs. We've actually got a barrier up over here between us and the neighbor's dogs, and we're going to use them for training. which isn't the nicest thing I've ever done in the world. But they're pretty much upset and barking 24/7 anyway, so I don't feel all that bad. And we're going to play a little bit of the look at that game with Barley. Right now, Barley looks really relaxed. This is one of the things I love about this dog, is that he's pretty unfazed by everything, but being proactive is one of the most important things that I can do as a good trainer and as a good owner to help prevent that aggression. So we'll be right back. Okay, so we are now over here with the dogs right behind us. You can probably hear them now. And I'm just going to wait for Barley to look over at them and notice them, and then look back up at me. Good. Good. So I'm just waiting for him to look at the other dogs, and then I'm going to give him a treat. Good. He can't see them right now, but that's okay. And if you guys were really working on this with your dog, that's actually almost better, because we're just reducing the number of things that your dog is dealing with right now. Good. Good. And we'll take a break. That's plenty for now. One of the things that we like to think about when your dog is potentially aggressive towards other dogs, or you're worried that it might be going that way, is thinking about how to break it down. So one of the things I like about this practice scenario that I can set up right here is Barley actually can't see these other dogs, but he can hear them. And that means that we're just dealing with one aspect at a time, which is kind of nice. It might be more stressful to not be able to see them, but I think when you guys are working with this, thinking about, okay, can I let my dog sniff where another dog has peed and then reward him? Can I let him get downwind of another dog, sniff that other dog, and then reward him? Can he see another dog that's way across, the soccer field, and then reward him? Can he hear another dog and reward him? And build up to it, because I think what a lot of people do when they're trying to fix dog aggression with treats is they basically make it too intense too quickly. So they're like, well, yeah, but when there's another dog playing frisbee across the street, my dog won't eat treats. And that's kind of like, if I am not a huge fan of heights, and basically if you dangled me in a harness off of a skyscraper in Beijing, and then you tried to give me an ice cream cone, I probably wouldn't want it. I would be too scared. But if we started out with just having me stand on a balcony, maybe only a couple stories up, and then you could start teaching me that heights equals ice cream in smaller chunks. And essentially one of the biggest mistakes we see when people are working on trying to reduce or treat aggression in dogs, and they say treats didn't work for me, it's because they were doing too much too quickly. So think about what you can do to make it easier. So I kind of try to err on the side of thinking that something's going to be a problem when it might not be. So Barley is actually still looking pretty relaxed and pretty chill on our daily walks right now, despite the fact that we're pretty much constantly being barked at, growled at, and even chased by some street dogs here in Mexico. But I would rather err on the side of making things extra treatful for him rather than kind of ignoring it until it's a real problem. And that's something for you guys to keep in mind. So if you're bringing home a new dog and you're noticing that your old dog's a little grumpy about it, or you're going on walks and you're noticing that your dog is a little hyper fixated on other dogs, all of these different things, it's probably a good idea to start figuring out, okay, so this is something that might be a problem based on the fact that my dog seems a little bit stressed or a little bit focused more than I would like. How can I make this into a good situation for my dog? And that is where I can come in for you guys. So I am an associate certified dog behavior consultant, and I own a online dog training school where you guys can pay for a month of email support from me, one-on-one, where we just go back and forth and I give you tips and tricks on your specific case and your specific problem. Or I offer 15-minute calls and 1-hour calls, and the 1-hour call actually includes a month of email follow-up, so it's a really good deal. And I can help you guys solve all of these things a little bit more in depth, because I know it's easy for me to say, be extra proactive and watch for warning signs and then try to treat them with treats and prevent things. And that makes a lot of sense for me because I'm a dog behavior consultant. This is my job. And I know that sometimes those instructions just aren't going to be specific enough for you guys. So I'm here for you. You can reach out to me at journeydogtraining.com or comment below on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you guys are seeing this. So happy training.